All right, it is 12:05, so are we ready to get started? Peter, you ready?
I'm ready.
Perfect. Let me go ahead and share my screen. All right, everybody, thank you so much for coming to our first kickoff meeting of the year. We're excited to welcome everybody to 2023. So happy New Year to you all. We took a little bit of a break so everybody could enjoy the holiday in December. So it's been about 2 months since we've been together. So thanks everybody for attending. We are super excited about today's presentation and welcoming Peter Marra from ADT to our chapter meeting. So thank you, Peter, for attending today and presenting to us. We're looking forward to this.
Thank you for having me.
And actually, I am having trouble changing the screen, Tracy. I don't know if there's any secret to that. I'm having trouble with the
Usually
slide.
just that, so that arrow Menti mode, you may be able to click it and it move forward.
It's not moving forward, so I might have to have you jump on.
Okay. All right, let me try to get mine up and going again.
Yeah, apologies. It's not going forward when I do this.
All right, let me get this moving on the screen full size.
Give us 1 second here.
All right, I've got mine up. I can share. All right, I don't know
Perfect.
why exactly it came out that size. Does it look small to you guys?
It does.
Let me, no,
But
it's definitely small.
it's okay. We can see it.
All right, let me just became a postage stamp. Get it back in order, and then you can talk through.
All right, perfect. So, like I said, we've got Peter joining us today. We're really excited to have him. ADT's had a program in place for a long time, and so he's got a lot of good insights to share. And this is definitely meant to be interactive. So, if you've got questions please, or comments, please feel free to drop those in the chat, and we will do our best to answer as many of those as we can while we are together over the course of the next hour. But first, a couple of housekeeping items. So for those of you who might be joining us for the first time today, my name is Courtney Dominguez, and Tracy Dixon is now manning the slides for us. So Tracy and I are the chapter leads for the South Florida chapter, and we've been doing this now for the past couple months, going on a year, which is kind of exciting. So Tracy and I are in charge of getting these events on the calendar and always looking for speakers. So if there are any of you that are interested in presenting, or you've got topics that you would like us to, to cover, please feel free to send those our way. We've taken a poll last year, but we probably should revise that. Even though we've got a lot of topics we still have to cover, there's plenty more I'm sure that you guys can come up with. So if you've got ideas or you're interested in presenting, please let us know. So Tracy and I are the chapter leads, and the chapter organizers are Jansen and Rob. They are with us as well, and they're here to gather your feedback too. So feel free to reach out to any of us, and happy to follow up on your suggestions and questions. So like I said before, I'll let Peter introduce himself. I certainly don't need to do that. He's the expert. But Peter is with ADT. He's been there for 10 plus years, and he's got a lot of background in various roles within the company. So he's got a lot of great experience to be able to lead the intelligent automation program. So Peter, with that, I will let you introduce yourself and give your background. But thank you so much again for joining us.
Thank you, Courtney, and thank you to the organizers for having me and hosting me today. I'm really glad to be able to share about our automation program. So I am the Director of Automation and CoE Lead here at ADT. As Courtney mentioned, I've been here for over 10 years. Started in accounting. I moved into financial systems for quite a bit of my time here, and a little bit of time in FP&A, where I worked on with our Oracle, Hyperion, EPM products. Before coming to this role 2.5 years ago, where we basically started from the ground up this automation program. So I'm basically just going to talk about the program. My hope is that it's informative and instructional, and that there's things that everybody here can glean for their own program. Love to hear any questions or thoughts as I'm talking. So as mentioned, Courtney said it was interactive. Feel free to pop in the question, raise your hand, however you're supposed to do it here. I'd love for this to be interactive. I guess there's a poll here. This is related to citizen development.
Yeah, so for those of you who may or may not have attended these before, if you could just jump on menti.com, and the code is there at the top. There's several questions that we'll have throughout the presentation, and so we'd love to get your feedback. It's both a quiz and participation. So, please hop on Menti, and we'll give everybody a couple of seconds to jump on there. So get on menti.com and then use that code, and then you'll be able to vote and provide answers on some of the questions that we've got here.
Oh, here come the answers. All right.
Yep.
Very good.
So it looks like a solid 50% are thinking about it.
Yep, looks like we're definitely on the side of folks that don't have a program yet or are thinking about a program.
For early adoption.
For 3/4.
All right, you want to close that poll?
It is super slow to respond, so apologies for that.
So I'll go ahead and jump in here if you want to go to the next slide. We started this program, it was actually 3 years ago. It started right during the pandemic when COVID hit. We started with a POC in one of our financial operations centers in Denver, Colorado. Basically a small team from ADT. This is before I joined. Small team went with UiPath to basically do a POC to see if with one of our business processes working in our billing system, UiPath would work. And within like 2 days, they were able to spin up a bot that worked, and that was enough for, at the time, our sponsor to say, okay, let's do this. So we set off engaging with an external partner to automate 2 processes in this financial service operations area. Since then, we have automated 23 processes here at ADT. We're about to deploy 3 more. All of them so far have been unattended. We've got 200 licenses, 200 bots that we have operating on our virtual hardware in a Google Cloud environment. And together, these processes are freeing up about 160,000 hours of annual FTE effort. And they are also supporting our a reduction in SOX deficiencies and increased compliance. We have a couple of bots that are key SOX controls, and have just done a lot of good to set guardrails and increase accuracy so that we have a reduced number of SOX deficiencies. I've got on my team, it's not listed here, 3 team members. I have a solution architect and technical lead. I have a manager supporting our in-production bots, and I have a business/project manager as well. We here at ADT have taken a different approach to the CoE in that we're not doing in-house the development and delivery. We found that partnering with an external implementation partner has yielded us the best results so far. They're the professionals. They're the ones who have the resources, can bring to bear all the things that are necessary to get a program mature and stable quicker. And so I'll get into that as I progress through here. But as we've gotten 2.5 years into our program, there's been a lot of activities behind the scenes that have had to, in order to support 23 processes and 200 bots and 157 hours of annual FTE effort. There's tons and tons of work that has to be done to set up a framework. We didn't do this initially. This was kind of a lessons learned. We launched this program just as a pilot. Let's just see if we could do something that could deliver some value. And we were able to achieve that. The first 2 automations that we put in production, we delivered them on time, on budget, and we were able to immediately start seeing real tangible impacts on the business. And from that point, we decided to launch out and expand our scope. We did a real kind of high-level, quick, 1.5-month enterprise assessment of opportunities, spoke to probably 10, 15 different groups. We're able to pull down, I don't know, probably about 20 different use cases, not all of which have materialized, but it was a good exercise to identify different areas where RPA would work outside of this financial operations. And while we are beginning to do that, we also aligned our program to UiPath's definition for how a successful automation program should function. And we've adopted their automation operating model, which consists of 8 critical and support functions, which is allowing us to automate at scale. We first, and I do have a slide, I don't want you to go there just yet, but basically we started with a leadership steering committee. This was before we even really adopted the model. We knew we needed someone or a group of individuals who had real influence and impact at the top of our organization to be aligned and to be bought in on this program. One large reason why was because of funding. We fund this program through our capital IT budget. We are not in IT. We never have been. We don't plan to be. We started this program in the business, in finance. We've now moved over into operations, but we depend on capital budget. So in order to get money, we had to show that we could make money. And so having a member of the capital budget board on our steering committee was crucial for us, and that was our chief operating officer. So we start off with our CFO and our COO. We basically came and said, look what we did, here's what we're gonna do, and this is what we need to be able to do this. And so they've been really into helping set the vision, give us direction, and overall oversight into our program. That steering committee has evolved over time, but hugely important in getting started. The other big piece was partnering, as I mentioned, with an implementation partner. If you're not going to do it in-house, and I strongly recommend partnering with someone who makes it their business to do intelligent automation. They have the resources, the depth, the width, the breadth to be able to come up with the answers for all the different issues you're going to potentially encounter. One of the biggest pieces that was very important to us was advisory, helping us to establish a strong foundation for the program. There's so many different pieces and components that need to be set into place if you want to be able to run your program successfully, and someone who's a pro at that is going to be able to help guide your program. It's not just go find a process and automate it. There's so much more if you want to build your program to operate at scale. So we partnered with a third-party implementation partner that provided advisory, build, delivery, and then once we had a handful of automations in that required 24/7 monitoring, we partnered with them as well to provide us monitoring and production support. So highly recommend finding somebody. I can recommend if you're not sure. So can we go to the next slide, Courtney? Or Tracy, whoever's running the slide.
Tracy's doing it, but just a quick note that there is, Centric has sponsored a gift card at the end. So there's a couple of questions. We've already had one, but there's a couple more that will pop up. So for those of you that are paying attention and can answer those correctly, we'll be selecting someone to get a gift card, which will either be Amazon or Starbucks. So if you haven't been paying attention, now's the time to start paying attention. Maybe go back and reverse. You can't do that. Just kidding. But yeah, so make sure you're paying attention so you can answer the questions so that you're ready to be in the running to get that gift card.
Very cool. I take it I'm out of the running, right? By default.
I know. I don't.
I think you are excluded. Yes.
Yeah, I feel like that might be a little bit unfair, but we'll see how many other people answer.
Okay. All right. Well, if we want to go on to the next slide.
That one is slide 2. Is it showing up? Or do you want to move to the next one?
Says my program highlighted.
Continue?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, this is just a dashboard that I like to show. Since the inception of the program, our bots have processed 8.5 million transactions. As I said, we've got 23 processes that we've automated, saving close to 160,000 hours annually across 9 different departments. Our first pass yield, which is basically our bots end-to-end throughput running successfully without kicking out any kind of exception, is at an 80%. We've got 20 ideas in our pipeline for unattended automation and about 30 for attended. And what I like to show in this slide when I'm flashing this up to folks in our business is we're aligning our program to our overall ADT business outcomes of reducing costs to the P&L, to supporting growth and scalability without adding additional headcount, and improving compliance through reduction. If you want to get a quick way to get your steering committee or your leadership on board with your program, align your program to their goals, to the goals of the enterprise. That's going to go a long way to getting your buy-in. Can we go to the next slide? So as I mentioned before, the automation operating model, and this is straight off UiPath's their kind of documentation, but for us to achieve our fully automated enterprise, which is what we want to do, we start with the steering committee, and then we set up a COE. Like I said, at the time, it was just me. We added slowly but surely resources as needed. I strongly suggest getting a strong technical solution, someone who has experience in RPA, but IT as well. We've aligned with the business and partnered with IT. IT has been our best friend and our biggest enemy at times. And I could give you a whole lesson learned on dealing with IT, but very important to forge strong relationship with the IT, help them understand the vision of what we're trying to do here, and help them understand it's not about necessarily replacing what they do, but partnering and helping with what they do. Because this technology is very disruptive, right? A program that can provide a solution in under 2 months is going to be disruptive to an IT program that is got a waterfall method that takes months and months and months to implement a change, right? And even changes that they can implement. Partnering with business process improvement like a Lean Six Sigma or process reengineering group is important. Getting those processes ready for automation and helping to identify opportunities is crucial, and partnering with that process improvement team is important. Internal audit. We were so eager to get our program off the ground that it was overlooked that the process that we were automating was a key SOX control, and internal audit was not aware of that and had a lot of things to say about us automating a process where we did not have any kind of controls or any kind of ITGCs put in place. So we quickly worked with them and our partner to put together like a policy and procedure document to help us govern and run the program in a way that met the expectations of our board and shareholders, right? We're a publicly traded company, and so there's lots of sensitivity around key SOX controls, and so very important to partner with internal audit to make sure that we're doing things in compliance. And they're also, as I'll talk about in a little bit, a good source for pipeline. Change in communication. You want to what's the word? You want to shout from the rooftop all the positive and successes that you have. And if your company has a change management and communications program, I strongly suggest partnering with them, showcasing all the awesome things that you're doing in a positive light, and showing that, and it's a way of getting RPA out there, get the message of RPA. I've had other opportunities pop up through sharing our successes in our communications. And workforce planning. This to a smaller degree, if you're working with a business process that relies on a reduction of FTE, you may want to loop in your HR department, as this could have some potential impacts on our business and financial impacts of changing the workforce. And so the future of ADT Intelligent Automation is focused on becoming a fully automated enterprise. And so how we plan to do that is just automate as much as we can, give all automatable works to robots. We want to begin to democratize development. We want to create, and we haven't quite gotten there yet. That's a goal for ours for 2023, is to stand up a citizen development program. We want folks to be able to build their own low-code automation, and the Studio X product that UiPath has is a great tool for that. Not the only one, though. We know that there's a lot of tasks that can be automated in a more quicker and cheaper manner than through a central CoE and working with a third-party program or a third-party implementation partner. And we want to give robots to everybody. I see the future of just every computer you buy comes with an assistant of some kind, and maybe it's easy to record a macro that performs the actions that you do on a regular basis. So we want to give everybody at ADT the ability to experience the robot and assist them to speed up, amplify what they're doing. And the last kind of pillar approach here is infusing artificial intelligence wherever we can, whether it's through machine learning, whether it's through process mining, document understanding, chat technology. We know that there's more than just RPA on the intelligent automation spectrum, and we want to utilize that here at ADT. Part of the communication and marketing that I thought of early on was to to brand our program, and so we came up with the idea of calling our bots the Blue Bots. And for anybody who's familiar with ADT, you might be familiar with our blue stop sign that says ADT, and so blue is a big part of our branding and marketing here at ADT. And we have here at ADT a big field workforce, installation technicians, service technicians, and they're known as blue shirts. They represent our human workforce, and so we came up with the idea of calling our RPA bots Blue Bots to represent our new digital workforce. So just an idea for creating more awareness about your program, giving it its own identities, come up with a cool thing that aligns to your business. I think we may have missed the slide because we went straight to Tableau dashboarding. There was another part about, if we go back a little bit, keep going to like my first couple slides there. I was talking about some of the things that we set up right there. Uh-oh.
Not sure what active is, but is it the second
Oh,
page?
yeah, so there's the slide right there. Sorry, we skipped this one, but part of our setting up our program was getting a lot of different infrastructure components set up. A lot of operationalization of technology, such as ticketing for incidents and change management, the dashboarding for reporting, which we saw. We'll go back to that, but reporting out what your is hugely important. It's been we've been very successful at identifying trends, identifying even new opportunities within our existing bots through reporting. We've used Tableau. You can use Power BI. Insights is the product that UiPath offers, which can do a lot of that. It just sits right on top of database and extracts information very easily. We created an opportunity intake form, which will allow folks to submit ideas, is central location for submitting ideas. We created Orchestrator. We're leveraging our user access management and identity platform for providing access to our Orchestrator platform for our business users to perform minor activities on their bots, stopping, restarting, pulling log data. We set up password vaults using Keeper for all of our bot password and credential governance. And then another big part of the setting up our operating model and governance was setting up an actual governance board or committee. And this consisted of folks from IT, internal audit, InfoSec, HR, PMO, anybody that had any kind of influence or could potentially support us in governing and providing insight to us. And this has been hugely important. There's a lot going on in an organization, and we're not always plugged into every different initiative or effort. And so it's a great meeting place for us to bring a lot of different folks together to talk about what we're doing, what's on our roadmap, get feedback, get insight, and also to foster cross-functional collaboration and accountability. So I highly recommend identifying leaders in your organization that can partner with you and would be willing to partner with you to help you govern your program. And as I mentioned earlier, we created a 15-page policy and procedure document that outlined everything from segregation of duties, ITGCs, how we do and perform our development lifecycle, how we handle change management and risk and controls. And that's just gives your leadership and folks like internal audit and in your information security team the comfort to know that what you're doing as this new initiative and program is aligned to what they're doing. And a lot of this type of stuff you could probably find in your IT documentation. It already exists. So it shouldn't be hard to basically parlay that and fine tune it to fit your program's need. But I strongly suggest doing that as a way to really just clear roadblocks and remove red tape from moving forward and moving fast with your program. So if you want to skip ahead, Tracy, back to that Tableau dashboard slide. And before I go any further, any questions? Anybody have anything they want to?
I don't see any in the chat yet, Peter, but like we said earlier, guys, if you can drop your questions in the chat, we will keep monitoring that and we'll bring it up.
Yeah, cool. So I just took a couple screenshots of some of the different things that we have that we use in Tableau, tracking our success rate, tracking our volumes. We're able to report out on exceptions, business and system exceptions to see trends. We're able to track the average handle time of every single transaction. So if there's a business exception or system exception that's giving us some trouble, it's easy for us to identify and go and research and hope and with the intention of resolving and making our bots run a lot more smoothly. All right, go to the next slide, Tracy. And so I'm often asked, and what is the biggest, like, how do you get your pipeline? How do you get your opportunities? And I know that was the big question that I was asking. And when I was starting my program, there's a lot of different ways we've gone about it here at ADT. And this is not meant to be like an exhaustive list. There's a lot of different ways, but we started at the top first with our steering committee, right? The leaders at the very top should be aware or could at least point us to their one level down leaders who are, VPs, directors, senior directors, responsible for areas and ownership of potentially large process areas. So we started with them for guidance. We partnered with internal audit and compliance. They're constantly meeting with different areas of the business from looking at things from a financial standpoint and from an operational standpoint. They're excellent partners for being able to understand how processes work, where the process exists, where the potential points of exposure and risks are, and then global process owners, as I said. We are fully based here in the United States, so we don't have different business processes by region or country. Everything is under the umbrella of one. So field operations or finance or accounting, go meet with the CFO or the controller or the VP of operations or the VP of sales. These are great places to get plugged into what's happening, where the pain points are, where the work is. Another area we found a lot of opportunities in for span of control or headcount reporting. Go look at the areas where there's the most headcount. Chances are there's going to be the most amount of manual work and most potential for RPA. Another area or opportunity is through like lunch and learns and awareness sessions. I've probably either hosted or been invited to 35, 40 in the last 2.5 years, held different awareness sessions for different groups, whether it's small groups, larger groups of all kinds. And we've had ideas be submitted that we've actually turned into use cases for automation. And then, as I mentioned in a previous slide, process improvement teams and the PMO, the project management office. They have the pulse on what's in flight, what's being done in terms of projects. They have the pulse on the Lean Six Sigma team. They should know where the processes exist that could potentially be improved on, that would be great candidates for automation. So these are just a handful of different ways that we went about filling our pipeline and getting ideas for automation. Not all of them pan out, but it's a great place to start. And as I mentioned, once you start getting these ideas to start come in, if you're the only person, or you don't have a big team to sift through a lot of different ideas, highly suggest building an intake form. We built an intake form using Microsoft Forms and Power Automate. It was a great central location for people to submit their ideas, and we tailored our questions to specifically draw out the kind of information we needed to at a high level assess whether or not this would be a good candidate for automation, and save you the time of going and meeting to find that business owner or the person who submitted to find out, yeah, this really isn't going to meet our criteria for automation. I think that might be the last slide, if I'm not mistaken.
It is. So while I ask a little bit on your intake process about how you figured out value, or at least what's next between competing departments with finite resources. There tends to be more in the backlog than can get done in the near term. How did you guys decide what's next?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there's a couple different things. RPA is it's marketed, branded as this tool that improves, increases efficiencies, gives people back more time. It improves customer, employee satisfaction, right? Because it takes away work that's maybe menial and mundane and gives them the ability to focus on more value-added tasks. And while all of that is true, I would say a program that really wants to make an impact in kind of secure long-term sustainability is you have to show like tangible value. And for us, it was about hard savings. We our first two automations, we were able to tie headcount costs, headcount savings directly to the work that the bots were being able to perform. And fortunately, we haven't had to actually do any layoffs or reduction in force. We've been fortunate enough where we've allowed natural attrition to take its course and haven't had to backfill. And we've been able to partner with finance to share our findings, to share our the time savings through our bot processes, along with our business leaders, to finance, to say, look, our bot process is freed up 500 hours a month. We know that this equates to X amount of human hours that are no longer required. And we were able to take those successes to our leaders. And that was really the only criteria that they were after. I remember when we were expanding in the beginning, we found a couple use cases outside of our financial operations that we wanted to automate. And they were successful, but they didn't have any real hard savings or ROI associated with them. And in a steering committee meeting, we were sharing these results with our COO and CFO. And basically, two of the automations that we had done were impactful, but they didn't actually tie to any hard savings. And I remember our CFO was like, this is great. I'm glad you're expanding into this new area and showing what this bot can do. But I'm really not interested in saving somebody 10 hours a week or 5 hours a week. Like, I want to be able to point to specific area on the P&L that you were able to add value to as a result of these automations. We're giving you this money and we expect an ROI. And so here at ADT, we have taken an approach of a 1-year ROI payback or better. So with our partners, there's a specific cost associated with automating a process. We need to be able to get that money back in a year or better. That's the starting point for our prioritization of what processes we're going to automate. If it doesn't quite meet that, we don't make it a priority. And we're also looking, so that's the one criteria at how we associate the value and prioritize. The other is on business transformation. There might be a use case that can free up a couple of FTE, but there might also be a use case that maybe doesn't free up as much FTE effort, but does something very transformative. And we're also looking at those as well. The other item I mentioned is we align with our goals is business compliance. If there are any type of automations that can reduce SOX deficiencies, increase compliance, that's important to our CFO, as we have to report that out. And so SOX deficiencies don't look good on annual reports and 10Ks. So anywhere where we can help our business become more SOX compliant, we also prioritize those.
Yeah, so Peter, I was going to ask you, so it's not just about dollars then?
It isn't just about dollars, but for us, it's a big piece of it is. We're not interested in soft savings. We're interested in hard savings, showing the value. This really is at the core of it a cost savings tool. I know that might come across a little cold, but that's where it really delivers its value. And there is quite a bit of cost associated in building these automations, running these automations, the licenses to run them, the hardware to run them on. And so for us to be able to show hard savings and a positive ROI is hugely important to us.
Along those lines, Peter, do you charge back support costs for the automations, or do you only consider the development costs?
We don't do any cross-charging at this point. We, as a CoE, we do have, so our automations, our builds, that is capitalizable work. Our licenses, we capitalize over 3 years, but all the support and like my time all goes to OpEx. And we haven't gotten to a place where we've charged our business owners. Our deal with the business is we'll automate this process. We'll fund it using our capital budget. We'll fund through OpEx to support the automation, to keep it going. But your part of the deal is you have to recognize those hard savings.
Got it.
So there's a partnership with the business, there's an incentive on both of our side, right?
Yeah, for sure. They've got to recognize those dollars they said they would. So that's a big component of it.
Absolutely.
Tracy, should we move to the, I believe the next part is the questions and the quiz. So should we move to the next section?
And I just zoomed through it. I'll cover this again at the end, but wanted to make sure that we got a save the date out there for next month, February 28th. So fourth Tuesday of the month throughout the year at noon. We're planning to talk through Test Manager, which is UiPath's test automation platform. So hopefully you guys can join us and learn more about that.
And we'll have the registrations open soon. So we'll get that posted so that everybody can get out there and get registered.
Yes. And so if you don't have Menti pulled up before, please pull it up now on your desktop or on your mobile if you want to participate in this pretty short 3-question quiz. So the faster you answer, the more points you get. You guys are competing. Again, just a reminder for the $25 gift card to either Amazon or Starbucks. So I'll give it a few more seconds for anyone else that wants to play to join. So there'll be a short countdown. It'll put the question out there, and then we'll see the leaderboard for the next three. All right, Peter, you want to talk through that one any further?
Right. So we are looking to give robots to everybody at ADT. That's our goal. We're fully part of our fully automated enterprise objective.
All right, let's see who's in the lead. Marlon.
All right,
Number one. Let's see if you can retain that lead on number two.
All right.
That is in fact true. We have 200 robots on-prem running our 23 automations.
So what is the automation that has the largest number of robots involved with it?
It is an audit of after every install of a job, installation of a system. There is a series of checks that need to be performed to confirm that all the account setups have been done properly. So we have a bot running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, verifying these. As about 65,000 of these audits that are being performed every month.
That's a lot of manual work that used to have to be done. Oh, wow, we got a new leader, it looks like. Oh, we do not. That was close. All right, let's see if Marlon retains his lead for number three. See, I thought this was the hardest one, but people got this one right more than the others.
That's
Peter,
right.
any comments on this one?
A year. Yep, that's it. We put our first automations into production August 1st of 2020.
All right. Let's see who our winner is.
I think it's going to be Marlon.
Oh, it's close.
It is close.
By 50 points.
Wow.
Marlon's the winner. Congratulations, Marlon.
Yay.
All right. So while we're on the topic of your program being around since 2020, any lessons learned that were maybe some things that you didn't expect when you first launched a few years ago?
Yeah, I didn't expect how hard it is to set up a new program. I'll tell you that. I think one of the biggest lessons learned was just establishing partnerships, especially like with IT. an internal audit. They could really make or break your program. So much of what we do with RPA is, I mean, everything we do is digital. And so when you're talking about building bots that sit on top of applications, you've got to go to the application owners and architects. And so really just being as prepared and thorough as possible in creating the awareness and sponsorship or the partnership with these groups, and also starting at the top with their leaders, making sure they understand the vision of what you're trying to achieve, that it's not about replacing IT programs, but really assisting and helping with efforts and helping the business, that you're providing a product to the business. I think that was the biggest lesson that we had to learn kind of the hard way, and really slowed down some of the progress that we wanted to make when our projects were in flight. And if it's at all possible, even on a small scale, find someone who's been there, who's done it before. Get yourself either aligned to an implementation partner, or if you can't afford that, a independent person like Courtney, who's been there, who's done that, who can really provide it, really just strong advisory advice and guidance on the different things that need to be put in place to really make your program run smoothly and successfully.
And I know you mentioned lunch and learns, that type of thing. As far as, which sounds like, the components of an organizational change management program. Can you talk a little bit more about that, about organizational change management, and whether you had any resistance to automation and how you dealt with it?
Yeah, we did. So apart from the obvious, of like IT resisting, there has been some resistance to it from even the business. The idea of a robot sounds cool, but it also has a stigma to it. You're coming for our job. And as I mentioned, it is a cost savings tool. But there also are a lot of good benefits to it. And here at ADT, we've been around for almost 150 years. There's been a lot of folks who've been doing things for the same way for a long time. And it's really helping people to see the benefits of what RPA can do, and really helping to create a vision for the productivity gains and the efficiencies that can be gained. But I really believe a lot of that has to start at the top. If you can't get buy-in from your leadership, there's no way you're going to get buy-in from the people you're going to be working with when you're trying to implement the subject matter experts and the lower level line managers and process owners. So it's really key to get the leaders at the top to buy into this and be able to assist with the change management components of it. Otherwise, it's just going to be a struggle.
Totally with you on that, Peter. 100%. If it's not top down, it's not going to go bottom up, because the individuals at the bottom are the bottom of the ladder anyway are the ones that are going to be the most resistant, because they're going to be the ones that don't understand it, and I shouldn't say don't understand it, would be most fearful about how it could impact their day-to-day and what that could mean for them. So having that communication top down is really, really important, so that it can reduce those feelings and fears that their jobs could be eliminated, because the reality is they won't likely be eliminated. They'll just change, and they'll be doing something different, and hopefully something that's a bit more productive as well.
That's right.
We are at the top of the hour. So Peter, thank you. Now you can go get your lunch if you didn't have it already. This has been super insightful. I know everybody's gotten a lot of good information out of this. So thank you for presenting your program I'm sure that everyone can find Peter on LinkedIn. If you have additional questions for him or just information about the program. So his contact information is out there on LinkedIn, and all of ours is in this presentation, which will get distributed, and the recording will be distributed for those as well. So thank you for being here today. We appreciate it. Tracy, you're on gift card duty, right? So you'll follow up on that and make sure that our winner gets his gift card. And he was paying close attention. So thanks, Marlon, for paying attention.
Yep, Jansen is going to take the lead on that.
Awesome. Okay, thanks. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. And we look forward to seeing you next month in February for our test manager presentation. So thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Have a great day. Thanks, Peter.
Thanks, Peter.
Thanks, everyone.